Good morning, everybody. It's Jeff Fitzpatrick. It's the 1st of July, and this is my video log. So let's see what's occurring. This week, I'm going to look at some important changes to the filtering system at management. So let's get going. Just to remind everybody, what I'm doing each week is, first of all, taking a long list. The long list has got about 150 stocks in it, and I'm using filtering to get that down to about 100. So the filters include timeliness, scores of 1, 2, or 3, safety, 1, 2, or 3, and also financial strength, at least a B+. And then using the charts to eliminate a lot more stocks to get me down to about 10 or 15. And then I'm doing the analysis. Bit like the 4x4 analysis of TICN, but it's sort of that on speed. So firstly, stocks that came into or out of the filtering system this week. There they are: out, AKM, ASGN, CALM, CFR, EURN, IR, IMO, PBR, and WPC. Incomers: CHA, CMG, PFE, SBH, and TS. However, none of the incomers made it to the dashboard stage. So they're in there, but they're not right at this time. Whoa, so this is new. So this is a result of the filtering system. And I've looked at some of the areas that are causing me concern when I look at stocks. So going across the top, first of all, we've got the value line report. That's the narrative part of it. Is it positive? Is it negative? Or is it neutral? If it's negative, then that's a bad sign, if you like. However, by itself, it's not enough for me to throw things out. There are plenty of negative reports that are giving still huge increases in stock prices. And even Value Line themselves put into their portfolio stocks that are not particularly brilliant as far as the narrative goes. So I'm not taking a negative Value Line narrative as being sufficient evidence alone to take stocks out on the basis of quality. Next, officers and directors. I'm looking to see whether they own more than 1% of the stock or less. And quite a few of them, it's less. And again, I've got to say, while I prefer the directors to have some skin in the game, it's not going to be the be-all and end-all by itself. If it's one of a collection of factors that are negative, then I'll take more concern and interest in it. I've also got to say that it is the case that the big guys, Vanguard and BlackRock, they don't like the officers and directors to have too big a share in the company. In fact, they won't invest where the company is owned to a too large an extent by the directors and the officers. So that's interesting. The next is the balance sheet. I definitely don't like a weak balance sheet, and a weak balance sheet to me is immediately saying I'm going amber rather than green. Then we've got our quarterly losses. I don't like to see quarterly losses in the last 3 years. If there's perhaps only one in it some time ago, and especially if I can find a reason for it, I might be a bit forgiving. But recent quarterly losses, I definitely don't like. I don't want stocks where the price to earnings ratio is too high. That means to me that there's a good chance when we have a pullback that the price of the stock will fall. So it is something that I will use to eliminate a stock. New is this one: 5 years of shareholder value. This is available on the front page of the Value Line reports, and it's a combination of the increase in the price and also any dividends paid to shareholders. Now they're looking at the last 5 years. In actual fact, my calculations are going back 4 years. That's to the bottom of the market when we were in the pandemic. I want to see how companies have recovered since then. Also new, the management score. I am very, very persuaded that one of the most important scores, if you're looking to buy into a company, any company, whether it's stocks or even a corner shop or something, is the management. Is it managed well? For that, I'm taking a combination of shareholder value added over the last 3 years, and also the timeliness score, the safety score, skin in the game from the directors, and what have we. So a very important score. Now, I've used it twice. I've used it as a replacement for the TICN score for management. So that gets it a score up to 12 points. And then I've also used it on the top line as a new score alongside the value line scores for timeliness and safety. So that gives it a score of 1 to 5, 4 and 5 being eliminators. So we've got a couple of those as well. Then I've got debt. I don't like debt to be too high, but it is something that gets investigated. If the debt is high for a good reason, they've just been involved in a takeover or something, they might get away with it. Otherwise, it will certainly at least take them amber, depending on how high it is. And then I've got the book value. So again, if I'm going to buy into a company, I don't want to be buying something where I'm paying 100 times the asset value or 60 times the asset value. I want to be paying much smaller, sort of up to about 7 or 8 times the asset value, and that's it. And even then, I really prefer lower than that, 2, 3, 4 times the asset value. So the outcome of all that this week is I've actually got BMY, CVS, BKE, DOCS, MGPI, OLN, and a latecomer after I changed the manager score, HURN. Those stocks to me haven't got any significant red flags this week. I've then got a series, AKM, which is going up because it's now got a lowering score, but it's not dead yet. CM, CSA, TAP, SPTN, Berry, CAG, LKS, CNC, and IMKTA. They're all getting amber. So really, I probably wouldn't go into them, but neither would I immediately exit them if I was already in. And then I've got Pink, Prego, GPN. Those are failing the quality test badly, and I don't want to be in them. So I would start working my way out of them as we stand at present. So there's a lot of work gone on there, and there's always more to come, but that's where we're at this week. Now, if you're not already a member of one of the investment clubs and you're watching this, you might be interested to find out more. If so, either contact me directly or go along to myinvestmentclub.co.uk. Members put in as little as £100 a month, and even then, some of them don't put that in every month. I like to see a first-year investment of about £1,200 or more. Other members are putting in much larger sums, and we also work with individuals on even larger sums. And it is a learning place, and also in the clubs, somewhat democratic, with a lot of support and help, I've got to say. And we've got our next live training in mind now. It's the 15th to the 17th of November. So nice winter time. Come and spend the weekend in a nice warm hotel with us. The venue may change. So at the moment, it's penciled in as the Sofitel Terminal 5 Heathrow. However, that's proving a little awkward for people to drive to. It's in the ULE, the ultra low emission zone. It's expensive to park and what have we. So we're considering alternative venues. So if you're planning on joining us, you can book the training at this stage, but I would leave the any accommodation just yet. A reminder about my book, still going well. I think I've made that many changes now, however, since writing the book, that I'm going to have to write a second edition or a whole new book, but more on that as we go forward. So next week, having now spent so much time and effort and man hours and woman hours on identifying new stocks to get into and looking at their quality, etc., I'm now turning my attention to existing stocks that are held by the clubs. I want to see what the quality is of those and see which ones we're happy to stay with, which ones we're happy to wait for, and which ones we want to begin exiting from in order to replace them with better quality, better prospect stocks. So I'll cover more of that next week. In the meantime, thanks for listening. Have a great week.